Hi guys, I'm back again with a new recording here. This is a re-recording of the video I released last week, which unfortunately had some audio issues, which I've since resolved. So the piece I'm going to read is from the Sunday Guardian Live, which is an Indian newspaper, and it's written by Veenu Sandal. And it's an opinion piece on the Jinn, titled "From the Invisible World of Genies." Now it lists all the standard Jinn history that I've already run through in various different videos in this channel, but there's an interesting bit at the end where he talks about his own individual personal experiences with the Jinn or spirits or whatever he's terming as the Jinn in this piece. What I would like from you guys is leave your own experiences below. Anything that you'd like to share about the Jinn, please leave them in a comment below. What if I told you that, unknown to most people, unseen by most people, there are many well-structured and socially well-organized tribes or communities of supernatural beings called Jinn living among us? That the Jinn tribes and communities eat and drink, have kings, courts of law, with incidentally hanging as the ultimate punishment, weddings, children, deaths, and mourning rituals very similar to those of humans, that Jinn can marry humans or otherwise have sexual relationship with a human. You probably wouldn't believe it, much less the amazing powers that they possess and the many types of Jinn that exist. Though technically incorrect, the word Jinn is commonly used as both singular and plural, just as Jinn or Jannet are often used interchangeably, although they are different, albeit similar supernatural entities. The Arabic word Jinn is from the verb jana, which means to hide or conceal. In the Quran, it's mentioned that the Jinn were fashioned from a smokeless flame of fire. Jinn can be Muslims or non-Muslims, but because they were all created from fire, their temperament is generally fiery. Jinn are said to have been created before man, but their lifespan is far greater than that of humans. According to CryptoWiki, the Jinn or genies are spiritual creatures in Islam and Arabic folklore. They are mentioned in the Quran and in other Islamic texts and inhabit an unseen world in dimensions beyond the visible universe of humans. The different types of Jinn and the names enumerated range from Marid, Ifrit, Afrit, Jan, Ghoul, Hin, Sheik, Naznaz, Pilas, Selat, who are expert shapeshifters and the smartest of the Jinn. Iblis or Shaitan is said to be the first Jinn, created from fire, who became the father of all the Jinn, and was also the first recorded Jinn to be disobedient, and many others. Ghoul, of which there are several categories, are shape-shifting, cannibalistic, and blood-drinking creatures that feed on the flesh of human beings, especially corpses in graveyards. A female ghoul has the ability to appear as a normal mortal woman and can marry an unsuspecting man, who then usually ends up as her prey. The oldest references to ghoul in Arabian lore are found in the Book of 1001 Nights. The Hin are Jinn, close to animals and especially like to appear as dogs. In Miraculous Aspects of Things Existing, or the Book of Jinn, Zarika ibn Muhammad al-Qazwini claimed to have sighted these creatures in Arabia, Persia, and India. The Ifrit, or Afrit, is mentioned in the Quran is usually evil, extremely powerful and difficult to control. They live in a society structured along ancient Arab tribal lines, complete with kings, tribes, and clans. They generally marry one another but can also marry human beings. They are susceptible to magic, which humans can use to kill them or capture them and enslave them. Marids are mentioned in pre-Islamic Arabian mythology and the 1001 Nights, and are considered to be the most powerful type of Jinn. Like every type of Jinn, they have free will, yet could be compelled to perform chores. According to folklore, they also have the ability to grant wishes to mortals. The powers of Jinn include the power to whisper, to deceive. They are able to take on any physical form they want, and can appear as humans, animals, trees, and anything else. They also have the ability to possess and take over the minds and bodies of other creatures, though they are prohibited from using this to oppress others or possess others. Yet through their powers of flying and visibility, the jinn are the chief component in occult activities. Voodoo, black magic, poltergeist, witchcraft, and mediums can all be explained through the world of jinn. And because the jinn can traverse huge distances and collect information in seconds, their value to magicians and fortune tellers is great. Fortune telling is in fact one of the most popular activities associated with the jinn. Fortune tellers often operate through the Qareen, the jinn companion assigned to every human being. Because the Qareen is with that person all his life, it knows all that has happened to the person from cradle to grave. By visiting Muslim lands such as Morocco, one is able to see as to how much inter-jinn fortune teller activity there really is. Jinn have also been known to manipulate Ouija boards and seances, generally used to contact the dead and manipulate people through visions, for example, taking on the form of someone's friend or parents or some other loved one. Perhaps the greatest advantage jinn possesses, the ordinary people cannot see them, while the jinn can see everybody. Now this is the bit where this piece takes an interesting divergence. Close to my home there stands an old house in which an elderly couple were murdered years ago. This house is now in ruins and serves as an abode for two jinn who, over the years, probably seeing me pass by regularly on my nightly dog walks, have established a sort of relationship with me and my dogs. The jinn often offer to help with anything I want, but I always decline diplomatically. Why? Because I know that accepting their help would entail compensating them in some way. And once they begin regarding me as a provider, there could be complications, and I might get landed with a lifelong jinn association. But I'm immensely indebted to them for providing me with invaluable demonstrations of their immense power. They can shift shapes, and one time in just a flash they threw themselves up onto a height so high that I could no longer see their faces, and then they were back to their normal height, which in their particular case is usually about 3.5 feet. Another time, like a magician, they asked me to think of a flower, and in maybe a second they handed me a fresh red tulip. From Kashmir, they told me proudly. It is also well known that jinn have the power to change matter into energy and back into matter again. And my friendly jinn have done this before me time and time again. Quite obviously, the world of jinn has multiple dimensions, which are fascinating, sinister, intriguing, complex, astounding, and mysterious. And yet, the world of the jinn is just one of the innumerable layers that combine to make up the larger world of the paranormal, the other world. Think about it. It's not that simple, is it, to dismiss the paranormal, the other world, or worlds as figments of the imagination. Now, I find that quite an interesting story at the end, particularly the piece where the author declines the help of the jinn as he does not want to become embroiled in a provider scenario to them. He doesn't want to become indebted to them. Now, he uses the phrase lifelong. Now, I had an interesting conversation recently where it was raised to me that sometimes interference from jinn, or indeed spirits with ill intent, can actually be multi-generational. And it can be multi-generational because an ancestor has made an agreement or reneged on an agreement with jinn, in that they petitioned the jinn to intercede on their behalf, to give them something. They got that something, and then when the jinn called for their price in return, they asked for the child of an individual, and the individual obviously declined to forfeited basically on this offer, and got a multi-generational curse that 7 generations of the descendants of this individual would be tormented by the jinn. Bearing in mind that jinns' lifespans are supposed to be that of remarkably longer than human beings, this is not a difficult thing to do for a jinn if you believe that their lifespans are 10 times ours. Anyway, that's it for now. Apologies about the sound quality in the last video, and more coming soon. If you like the video, give us a like and give us a subscribe. Talk soon.